2:30ish in the afternoon. I just got a bad case of anal glaucoma this afternoon. I couldn't see my behind at work. So I came home and decided to take the little fella out here for a squirt and give this Sena 10C a proper test at 1080p at 30 frames a second. It's maximum resolution and frame rate. I hope everyone's doing well today. I know I am. I really don't have a thing to complain about on the world. In the world. Right. Well, a little bit of seafoam doesn't seem to have done the trick for this little fella. He's still snorting every now and then. Of course, it just may take some time. After all, Rome wasn't built in a day. And of course, I always have the option of taking her in and getting the carburetor professionally cleaned. Of course, I can drive. Actually, I can probably do it myself. It's not like I'd be down a bike if I had decided to take this one apart. It's 57 degrees last I checked. Still a little chilly, but it is not that bad. I hope if you've got good weather you're able to get and enjoy some time on two wheels. The itch so bad that I finally decided I couldn't stand it anymore, and I rode Betty to work this morning, and an unofficial impromptu polar bear challenge, I guess. It was cold, but it's warmed up really well. Second gear would be better, Mark. Let's go! I go through phases where I will hit neutral once out of 10 shifts, going from first to second. And then it'll just go away for a while, and then I'll hit it again. Should have checked the air in these tires before I left the house. He feels kind of sluggish, maneuvering wise, that is. Of course, it could be the fact that I'm used to a bike with a little bit more heft. Now about the 10C, I was pretty impressed with the audio quality right out of the box. I still may move this microphone from dead center in front of my mouth over to one side. It gets kind of boomy because I tend to get a little loud, and I guess I blow out the audio sometimes. I love the form factor of this thing. You know, of course, early impressions of the video, I was not very impressed at all for a unit that I paid $285 for. Amazon had it for $299, and I had a bit of a credit, so I took care of the sales tax. Well, no, not quite. Anyway, I would not have been happy if this thing had a worse picture than my $130 Sony Action Cam. But one of the things that I miss on this one versus the Sony is that the Sony has built-in optical image stabilization, so you can turn that on and lose some of the motion sickness inducing pitching and yawing induced by a helmet mounted camera. If the 1080 turns out good, then I will probably rock this setup going forward, because we all know that YouTube compresses the hoo-ha out of the video upload, so you're not getting the true footage anyway. So we'll see. And of course, with the camera on the left side of the helmet, I mean, you can see me, you know, wave to other bikers or attempt to pick my nose or whatever, instead of just seeing my other fist wrapped around the throttle the whole time. See how it goes. Another thing I don't like in comparison to the Sony is that when you offload a video on this thing, you have to pull the card and put it in a reader and then put it in the computer to export the video. The Sony, you can plug it in and it mounts as a USB drive, and you can browse it, you know, straight off the camera. Yeah, that's a niggly little problem, but I'm not ready to toss it out with the bathwater anyway over that. Now, what I do like about this camera versus the Sony is that even though this thing will only record for about an hour and a half on a full battery before it cycles off the camera to maintain communicator ability, you can plug it in and it will operate plugged in. The Sony will not do that. It will go into charge mode and it'll shut down. The Sena actually comes with a car charger, and you know, either I can plug it into the fairing. I've got a cigarette lighter on the fairing that I can plug into if I want to do that to power the camera on longer rides, or I can plug it up to a battery, a backup battery, and put the battery in my jacket and just fish the cable up. Let's go back this way. Fish the cable up through my jacket to the helmet. first got the camera all hooked up and everything, I thought that I got a lemon because, you know, the instructions for operating the camera are a bit vague. So if you have Sena experience, it is a plus. I mean, it's not hard. Well, it's difficult when you are having a problem because you don't know if it's actually working or not. But documentation says this thing takes a 32 gigabyte card maximum, micro SD. So I put a 32 gigabyte card in it. I pulled it right out of the Sena, right out of the Sony, formatted it and stuck it in the new camera. Everything powered on, connected to my phone, brilliant. Pressed the camera button for the prerequisite length of time. It powered on. Hit the camera button, got the beep. Sena chick said recording. I went, okay, great. So I start to walk around the house, gathering some test footage and testing the mic placement and all that. I pull the thing out. There ain't a video file on the card. I was a little bit disconcerted by that. So I put it all back together, slapped it back on my head. You know, first thing I'll assume operator error. Second thing, well, we may have a technological problem here. So I slapped it all back together, got it back on my head, hit the button. She piped right up, helpful as can be, recording. And then, of course, my first indicator when I was paying attention was that when the camera starts recording, under normal Bluetooth connections, you've got a blue flashy light on the side. When it's in camera mode and recording video, it should be flashing green. Well, you push the button, she says recording, it flashes green twice and goes back to blue. I'm going, this ain't right. So you hit that same button again to stop recording, and she should say recording stopped. So I reached up, hit that button again, and she said recording. Going, deja vu all over again. I hit the button again. Recording. What a crap. So I hit the internet looking for troubleshooting forums, because that's where you're going to get the best bang for your time, because companies will rarely admit that there's anything wrong, that it must be you because you're an idiot and shouldn't be walking around on two legs, much less trying to operate our super sophisticated piece of technology. So, I stumbled across a post where this guy's talking about the card that he was using wouldn't work in his camera. Although just like mine, it was a class 10 micro SD, 32 gigabytes as prescribed. So I thought, well, the only other cards I have are 64 gigabyte cards. And the documentation says that this camera won't do it with a 64 gigabyte card. I said, well, what the hey, it ain't worth trying unless you try it. So I pulled the 32 out, popped the 64 in there, and lo and behold, not only did the thing read 64 gigabytes, it started recording pretty as you please. With the 32 gig back in the Sony, records to it no problem. So, I mean, who knows? The Sena just didn't like the cut of that 32 gigabyte card's jib, and it was not going to play well with it regardless. So I'm currently running a 64 gig card in this thing, and all is good. So we'll see how this thing turns out. You'll see it regardless, because I mean, I posted the last one with the video I wasn't happy with, and not much sense of a testing phase unless you're actually going to publish your results. So I will turn you folks loose. Write them if you got them. and live long and prosper.